cousins with my mom, so you guys are the same generation level.
Yeah.
Me being born, I'm one level under you, so you're my uncle, and
Yeah.
Andrew's my. So then
Yeah.
have a kid. Your kid is my level, so your
Yeah.
kids and your kids and me are cousins.
Yeah. And it's
So yeah.
like, how do we fix that? It's like, well, you just gotta have a baby when you're like 10 years old or something.
Yeah. So it's like no, never.
Yeah, we can't fix that. But it's a cool, it's sort of a weird, unique family like thing that we have,
Mm.
and I enjoy it. It's kind of fun to like poke around and stuff. How all you guys would call me Uncle Henry. It's like, hey,
It's like outside. It's like, no, that's my cousin Henry, but in the family, no, okay, uncle. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Like funny. Because it's like, all right, generation wise, I have to respect you, but age wise, you have to respect me.
yeah. It's like,
It's like all over. So it's like jump into the family, try to explain the family tree, forget about it. Like
yeah,
it's either everyone's an uncle, an aunt, or a cousin, just leave it at that.
yeah. It's just when it's like in America, if it's the same age, it's like, okay, she's my cousin. It's just like don't worry about it. She's my
Yep.
cousin. Yeah,
Well, how are you related? You're gonna have to sit down for like an hour conversation
yeah.
on that.
Especially when we have like huge gatherings, like either say like weddings or something. It's just like, yeah, this is your, I don't know, like trying to introduce family members. Like, fuck, why do we have such a big ass family? And it is because like the generations before they had just kids on kids, and
Mhm.
like I didn't even know that my dad was like fourth or fifth out of seven, and it's just like, man, they would just, I guess, is that like the baby boomer age? No, it's before it, right? At least in Vietnam and
Uh, well, in Vietnam, everything's a baby boomer because everyone had like 1,000 kids each.
yeah.
But like, so like in our family, like I don't even know if you know this. So your dad and my grandfather, are brothers.
Okay.
And my grandfather was actually he owned a noodle company in Vietnam, so they were pretty well known. So like, from what my parents and some of my uncles and aunts have told me, like a lot of the aunts and uncles lived like my grandfather like housed a lot of like his siblings, so everyone grew up with each other. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's my mom is so close to um Kevin's parents because my mom and Kevin's mom grew up together. They went to school together. They walked to school, so they were like pretty much like sisters.
Yeah.
Uh, so your dad is my mom's blood,
Yeah.
and my mom is close with your mom because my mom grew up with your dad.
Yeah.
So like that's yeah, that's kind of how like it all went.
Even that was confusing.
Yeah, I know.
It's just like I know all of it, but it's like you're trying to follow the lines and you're like, oh man, we're just
Yeah,
too confusing. But I
yeah,
I love it though, even though I don't understand it.
yeah. Because I remember my mom like even still to today, she like drills in my head like you always take care of your family. It doesn't matter. And because even now, like with the pandemic, like your mom when she goes to 99, like she'll drop stuff off for my mom, like if she's there.
Yeah,
And same with
she
Kevin.
she tells me that like whenever she goes to the market, she kind of just like distributes little things throughout.
Mhm,
Yeah, I think it's something that like she hasn't taught me that, and I didn't even know she did that
mhm.
until like hearing everybody else, and just like, I wonder why she hasn't tried to really pass anything down to me and my brother. It's just like maybe because I feel like she's always wanted a girl, just so
Mhm.
she can like have a girl or whatever. But like she basically just grew up with three boys, and I don't know. Maybe she just didn't know how to deal with it at that point. I never asked her, and I'm actually too afraid to talk to her. But
Well, don't be because like I was like that with my mom too. Like
no,
kind of looping back like about the whole coming back from war and everything. My dad was in the war, and I remember in high school I never knew anything about it, and I remember like I specifically wrote a paper on the Vietnam War to be able to break that ice to talk
yeah,
to. And still was like, why do you want to know? You don't need to know.
yeah,
Uh, And then like when I became into like an adult and when they finally saw, okay, Sarah's not a little girl anymore, that's when he started opening up and talking a lot about what happened. And that's where we have to break the cycle to be able to not be scared to ask.
Yeah.
Because like mom, my parents didn't our parents' way of teaching isn't actually sit down, this is what it is, this is how we tell you, and this is what you do. It's just watch what we do, and that's how we show you, and that's how we
Yeah.
teach. It's not that hands-on, it's more like, it's in your blood. You already know how to do it, just watch us and kind of
Yeah.
move into it. And that it took me a long time to figure it out too, because I used to grow up saying like my parents didn't teach me much, but then like when I actually sit down and think like they didn't physically teach me, but like by watching them and just hearing how my parents are with like their siblings and their other family members, like that's how they teach.
Yeah, I realize like as I was getting older, I think when most people get older, like, oh shit, I'm becoming my parents, whatever. And I felt like I started having like the same qualities as my dad,
Yeah.
but I would say, at least in my opinion, the bad qualities. Like, I feel like I'm just lazy. I can be very selfish. Um, like I'm not good financially, and like I don't know if I did that on my own because of not having help, or it's because like that's what I saw as a young kid, and I
Yeah.
took those qualities and kind of like formed it into my own. And I remember like maybe a month ago, my dad was like, "I want the iPhone uh 12, the newest one, because it has 5G." And it's like, what? You don't? And I'm like telling him, because like I guess me and my brother, we know technology more. We're trying to explain to him like you don't need that, and it's not gonna make it faster just because you have the phone and all this other stuff. It's like, but and then he's like, well, I just want it. I was just like, oh, I get where that comes from. How
Yeah.
like a lot of the times I just buy things because I feel like I want it, and I make up excuses like, oh, I get something expensive because I'll have it for a while. It's investing, and
Mhm.
but then I just keep spending like whenever I have money. Um, like if I have anything above zero, it's like I just have to spend it because I don't know when I'm ever gonna get any more or something like that. And
Yeah.
I feel like I might have learned that from him, or if that's just like lack of um like discipline. Could be both.
Yeah, I was gonna say it definitely sounds like a mixture of both because like when we're talking about finances and like specifically our parents' generation, like if they grew up poor, like my dad, he struggled, like he didn't live like in a lavish home when he was younger. Like they were like the middle class. They lived in a village.
Yeah,
So, you know, trauma looks in different ways and it manifests in different ways of like how we react to it. So especially like when you were born and when, Andrew was born, if they were struggling to make ends meet, like your dad might have just learned that mindset of like, all right, when we have that money, you spend it on what you need right away before it's gone.
yeah,
So because, food is important, clothes is important, books for school were important, gas for the car. So it's kind of
yeah.
like you gotta spend it on what we need. And then when you get a little older, it can manifest into like, okay, well, I have money, let me spend it. What do I want right now? I just want a phone,
Hmm.
but I don't need it, but I want a phone, so let me just spend it. So it
Yeah,
becomes a habit after a while.
yeah. And I try to break it, and I know every time well, I think I've been getting better at it because like I always do like window shopping or online shopping. I was like,
Mhm.
you don't need it, you don't need it. It's just I try to remind myself all the time, but then eventually I'll end up just buying it like a month down. It's like, I got enough money now, and then I just buy it. And but like realizing my mom was telling me how like my dad, he kind of um I guess it's like in my mind it's hoarding, but when I learned that like my dad buys a bunch of stuff because he thinks like Because I guess if you grew up in the war, like you never know what you might need later. If especially like they all they do is watch like conservative news, and they're seeing how this country's going to shit, that we might go to war. So it's like my dad, like in my brother's old room, it became a storage room, and there's like 10 gigantic bottles of laundry detergent. I'm like, why do we have all? Is this? He's like, oh, preparing. There's like boxes of motor oil and noodles for days. It's just like I understand it, sort of, but it's just
Well,
like I.
sorry.
No, you can go ahead.
Like that sounds like a form of PTSD.
Yeah, that's just like I don't want to like tell him, be like, you don't need to buy this, but like I'm trying to look at it from his point of view. Like he's probably never grew up like having his own things, because throughout my life every every time he's gotten something, he's like literally engraved his name in it. Like, this is mine, and he has this like selfish thing, and I that's where I get my stuff from too. Like, I have like a certain bowl at the house that's like no one else eats it, because like this is my bowl, like, or a pair
Yeah,
of chopsticks, like this is mine. Like, I get
yeah,
upset if somebody else uses it, and I'm pretty sure I learned it from him. But then I think like, well, you grew up with like 7 other siblings, of course, like you're gonna kind of want to fight for your own stuff, and
yeah.
yeah,
Like, so for you specifically though, like if that's something you want to break, you kind of have to take a step back and say, like, okay, why am I still connected to this bowl? Like, and does it really do much effect? Like, if my mom were to use it
yeah,
or someone else were to touch it, like, kind of figure out, like, what is that connection? Because usually something like that, when you're so, you know,
possessive,
yeah, over something, there's a reason behind it. And it might not
yeah,
just be because it's mine and I want it. It might be, okay, because this is the one thing I can control and this is the one thing that I know it's my own.
yeah,
Kind of like exploring, like, what does that bowl really mean and why is it like manifesting into this is
yeah.
mine, only mine.
That's what I started realizing too. Is I think because I don't have, well, I feel like I don't have control out of my like outside life, my real life, that I have to have some sort of control, like just with every other little thing. And I realized that when I got my dog Tux.
Mhm.
I've always wanted a dog for like a long time, and I never really knew why. Maybe just because like at first it's because I was lonely and I wanted like a companion, and I wanted someone to always be there, so that made sense. But then once I got him from an adoption center, and he was 1.5 years old at the time,
Yeah.
and he was a rescue. I'm pretty sure he was either a street or a meat dog from China, because I can kind of see that he has some trauma.
Yeah.
Um, and what I learned was when I was trying to uh train him, or just have him like listen to me, and he wasn't like responding to me or listening to me, it frustrated me to hell. I was like, why won't you listen to me? And like, I realized later it's like I got him because I wanted some sort of control over something. And I
Yeah.
when I realized that, and I was like, I feel like I'm just projecting a lot of shit onto him, and it's not fair to him, because I don't know his past, because at the adoption center they didn't really tell me much, and I'm pretty sure they kind of like it it was probably like a, because at the adoption house she also had like 10 other dogs, and when I was picking him up, he was like 5 pounds underweight, or like 10 pounds underweight, and he was like eating the cat food, and she's like, oh, it's no, he's just eating the cat food. And I'm like, what are you, starving these dogs over here or something? Well, I don't know, but yeah, just adopting him and knowing that he had issues, and I was like basically projecting my issues onto him. It's just like, oh man, yeah. I It's weird that I need some sort of control over the little things in my life, and I want to figure out what that means, or how I can get away from that.
Yeah. Well, You already started doing it by just doing what you're doing now, being able to talk and trying to figure out your life. And like you'll start to notice like the more you connect to like someone, whether it's me or someone else, like the more you talk about it, you're gonna start to be able to decompartmentalize everything and separate stuff to say, okay, so this is like what I can let go of. This is what I can't let go of. This is what's controlling my life, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
Be able to kind of like slowly work through it. Because like I don't know the way your life was when you were younger or the military in itself and just now. Your life wasn't kind of that typical like I wake up, go to school, come home, do sports, wake up, go to school. It was just like how do I survive? What can I do? And then
Yeah.
like going to the military is the same thing. Like it's literally a battle every single day to survive or to protect and save. So you never had that period of like calm of like, okay, this is what, quote unquote normal life is. You're
Yeah.
just trying to figure out how.
And
And
like
the basics too.
being like just not knowing how to do finances and living in America, like everything runs on money, and it's pretty difficult too. Like I watched a Joe Rogan podcast, and he was saying like once he got because when he did Fear Factor, he started getting a lot of money, and they always say like more money, more problems, but whenever I feel like you know at least some money, not more money, but some money, like it would just alleviate some of the stress of um like a yeah, I think it would just alleviate some stress, but not knowing how to do finances is kind of difficult.
Well, it's difficult because you don't know where to start.
Yeah,
And where to start is what are your goals like to either have your own place or are you comfortable staying with your parents? And if you are, then it's like maybe having a car or even before that, like how do you get money? You need a job.
yeah,
So what type of job are you looking for? And are you humble enough to start as like a cashier if a cashier position is open?
yeah,
Or achieving that like, nope, I'm gonna be CEO of this or I'm gonna open up my own business, which is aspirations. But then it's like, how do you start that up? So, you kind of just figure out, am I comfortable living at home or do I want my own place?
yeah. I mean, I know I want to leave. It's just because like just feeling the I don't know if it's toxic, but feeling that like weird dynamic with my parents is like I feel like my mom is okay with me here.
Mhm.
She's not mad, but I feel like my dad's kind of like, what the fuck, like, or yeah, I think that's just how I feel. But I do want to leave, and I have had some jobs. I was talking to my friends about this yesterday. How I don't know if it's just because I'm lazy or like I have problems with authority or something, but I don't like working for others. And I
Mhm.
have like I worked at Reebok for 2 years. I made it up to team leader, and I was a host in LA. I was a valet, and so I understand like starting from the bottom, and
Mhm.
then I know knowing me, I can quickly move up just like I did in the military.
Yeah.
But it's just like that starting point, like starting at the bottom is I don't know, it sucks, but I think that's just like maybe a normal mindset.
Yeah. And kind of reframe it in a positive way. It's a humbling thing too, because then like when you do climb up, you're just like, okay, that's why I started there. Because like look at me,
Yeah,
like as a cashier at CVS,
yeah,
and like my goal is always to work for the state. And what, 15, 20 years later, I was able to achieve my goal.
yeah,
And and I always like when people like do the interviews with me, they're like, what did you learn from each job? And I always go back to CVS because I'm like, that humbled me because having like the customers coming in and out, like having like the worst managers there
Yeah.
and supervisor and learning how to work with people like that's where it all started for me because customer service translated to human service.
Yeah.
It's customer service needs versus mental health needs or substance abuse needs are a lot different.
Yeah.
It started with that to be able to understand like, you know, what it was. So that's why, for you, you had to kind of figure out like what do you want in life? Like what type of job and where do you see yourself realistically
Yeah.
first of and then once you have that realistic goal, then it's kind of like you put your dream goal there to be able to see like how far you can get.
Yeah.
You set like your bar of like this is what I know I can achieve and this is what I am going to achieve. And then it's like I'm getting there now. It's like this is my dream. How do I get to my dream to be able to shift it up like slowly?
Yeah. I have realized that I when I was working at Reebok and being a host and a valet, like you said, all three of those jobs were about customer service. And I did enjoy that side of it. As I mean, obviously you had to deal with some of the assholes sometimes, but um the customer service side was fine with me. Like I liked making others um like happy. I guess like having making sure they had a good time or good service or whatever. But the problem was just when someone was trying to like either micromanage me or tell me what to do. It's like I know what I'm doing and well I feel like I know what I'm doing. And then it's just my problem like let's say at my valet job and I don't know, it took me a little too long to come back. It's like, well, I don't know. It's just the little things that really pissed me off. But the customer service was helping people. I, mm, I guess it seems like something that like doing, because I feel like because I never got the help, it's sort of like I'm trying to become the role model that I needed, and that's why
Mhm.
just doing this too and this podcast, like just trying to help others, like you said, that might feel like they're going through this by themselves. And in fact, there are other people going through this kind of stuff and just putting out the information that people don't necessarily know is available.
Yeah. And like I said, it kind of starts from just your basic needs.
Yeah.
Like the very simple step of like, am I getting enough sleep? Am I eating enough? Am I drinking enough water? And if I can't even achieve those three simple things, then how can I move on to the next step of my
Yeah.
life? Achieving the financial stuff, the house, the job. So, it's all achievable, but it's, at least with you and me, like I said, I'll reach out to you. You ask me any questions, like any time of the day. If I'm sleeping, I'll answer you when I wake up.
Yeah.
I'm not ever not reachable for family. Friends too, but like, family comes first. Like,
Yeah.
if you ever need anything, or like, even if you're scared about something, like, or if you need to like be reassured, like, always just reach out and don't feel like you're a burden. Because I don't say this unless I mean it. Because I'm not gonna like, oh yeah, text me if I'm like, fuck, right? What does Henry want now? Like,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
I know he needs something, so it's okay.
I get that sometimes when people text me, it's like it's weird because like I said, I want people to text me, but then when sometimes people do, it's just like, oh, okay. Like I feel like they want something from me or like when I started the podcast and like a bunch of like friends that I haven't talked to in a while, they started like congratulating me and some of them was saying like, "Oh, I'd love to work with you." But like when I was in LA, I had the mindset that I was better than everyone else, which is I know was very stupid. Um and I felt like now that like I got something going, people like I feel like people are trying to like leech off of it and I think it's cuz I don't understand that some people can just be happy for me and
Yeah.
care about me. So it's like I don't know how to I guess, really accept that yet. I know it's there, but like always at the time, it's just like, all right, what do you want, kind of thing. It's like, oh, thank you. Like I feel like I'm like patronizing them for their kindness, and
No, don't. And that's very typical. A lot of people don't know how to take kind gestures, or just like simply saying thank you is hard, because it took, and I'd be bullshitting if I said I don't struggle with it. Like when people give me a compliment, I'm always like, oh,
yeah,
thanks, why? But then it's like, no, it's because, you know what, like I did do a good job on like today's work, like, you know, or I did kick ass in the paper, and that's why I got an A on my paper. Like, okay, so you gotta kind of remember, like, you have to be easy on yourself, and you have to be able to accept, like, you do good.
yeah,
And you do good. Like, don't be ashamed to say, all right, thank you for
yeah.
acknowledging it.
I try
Like,
to, like, whenever they do, it's just like, just take it.
yes.
Don't think of anything. Just say thank you, and then you can psychoanalyze it later in the shower or something.
Or don't psychoanalyze it, because why? They're just saying you're doing a
Yeah,
good.
I'm just
You
saying like
do.
that's what I end up doing. It's just like I have to like not do that, but I think it feels like it's an instinct at this point to do that for me. So trying to get
Well,
over
I
it.
don't. Well, I don't know if it's the LA thing, but like, you know, I've heard a lot of like other people's like podcasts and stories of like LA. Once you do start doing good, like people all of a sudden like come all over, like,
It
oh,
is.
let me do this. Let's collab. Let's, you know, hook up and do stuff. But
That's exactly how it was, and it's just like if it always felt like if you had just an ounce of success, everyone was trying to hang on to that, and
yeah,
it's just like get off, and but then you know it's like everyone is trying to do that, like I guess except for me, I hated. I don't know. I didn't like the fact that like if someone was doing good, like even some of my friends are doing well. Like I've seen some of their stories. They're like on shows and stuff like that. Like my first instinct is like, hey, congratulations or something. But then it's like in my mind, it's like, nah. But then it's like I haven't talked to them all. It might just seem like I'm like I don't know. I don't know. But
I'm always like, ugh, so I'll do this randomly with my old high school friends. Like I'll Facebook them, be like, hey, congratulations. I know I haven't talked to you in like 5 years or 20 years. But like, if you just really honestly and genuinely want to say congratulations, that's awesome.
yeah,
Then do it. Like,
yeah.
there's something that,
I'm trying to do that more, and it's kind of like I want to put that out there, and then it's sort of like how I am. Like if they have an issue with how I was just genuinely doing it, then that's kind of like their problem. And I'm trying to reverse that. It's like, okay, now I see that
yeah.
that's my problem as well.
So like, between like not being able to accept like gratitude, um, kind of going back to like when you're talking about your job, that sounds more like maybe not micromanagement, but feedback is what you can accept, whether it's positive or negative. You
Yeah.
struggle.
Well, I realized that I think well in when I was in theater school, I do like um constructive criticism, but if I felt like it was just criticism, then it's kind of like who the fuck are you kind of attitude. And well, because I think when I was learning theater, it humbled me um knowing that like maybe it's just because I never thought I was good enough no matter what I did. And I think one of the problems for me was that a lot of the other students there, um, they gave me a lot of praise,
Mhm.
and I'm not sure if I like. I I I think it might have gotten to me, to like as in like I thought I was hot shit, and I kept thinking I was better than everyone else because maybe I just wasn't used to getting so many uh compliments with anything I've ever did. So once people were saying like, "Oh, you're so good," and the people that I respected there were telling me I'm good, it's like, "Oh shit, I think I might be onto something." So whenever I had that positive feedback, um, the constructive criticism helped. Oh, it's weird. I still don't know how to analyze how that went, but
Well, it could be because that was something you were passionate about, so you wanted to in the theater industry. So it's like anything to help improve
yeah,
was something that you were willing to accept. But like at the ballet, like you said, the example you took too long. It's like maybe that's something that wasn't your lifelong goal. So you're like, whatever, I don't care.
yeah,
For me, like what I always try to practice too, and like I said, like I still struggle with this. It's like when someone gives me something negative, constructive, or not, it's to help better myself. So if I
yeah,
spoke or if I'm lacking in something, just take it, cry about it later, but improve on it because that's only gonna help me. So why let it tear me down?
yeah,
So it's kind of just like take it as it comes and just improve yourself and remember like the more negative feedback that you get or the more criticism you get, the more you work on it, the less that they're gonna have to say.
yeah. That's what I also realized that too over the pandemic. It's just like I know there's things I need to work on, and so I'm taking everything positive and negative with a grain of salt. It's just like, okay, let me take it in and then process it and see if I can add any value to it or not.
But also remember, you don't have to prove anything to anyone, only for you. Like, you
Yeah,
don't have to have your parents' approval. You don't have to have my approval. You don't have to have, you know, anyone else. You have to make sure you're happy with yourself.
yeah,
Because
that's
if you can't be happy with yourself, what does this all even mean? Is this even worth it?
yeah, that's what I've been also really trying to do is just be grateful of the improvements that I've made, and if I see them, and I mean, I love the fact that I love the fact that like I see myself recognizing these issues, and I appreciate that as a good step forward in like mental health.
You know,
Yeah, good mental health.
yeah, because you have to just be happy with yourself, and you have to learn to understand who you are.
Yeah,
Before and everything else. And that's such a simple statement, but that's such a long
yeah, it's easier said than done. Yeah,
uh, because it's a long road, and it's also, if we're talking about like going to therapy, medication to be able to make yourself happier and understand yourself, it's be patient too, because you can't rush this, because this is definitely not going to be a 1 year fix. Like
yeah,
the first year might be the hardest struggle, but then year two, it's like I understand the struggle now. Let me clean up that mess. And then
yeah,
year three might be like, all right, I get it. Let me sort it out to make life easier. So it's kind of like don't expect that instant gratification because I can tell you now it's not going to come. And if
yeah,
that's all, you're setting yourself up for failure. You might be a unicorn and it might happen, but you know, just be very realistic, like with your expectations and what reality is.
yeah. As like the older I get, I realize that too. It's like I've been, I guess, basically working on myself like since a young age, and I think the fact that I haven't noticed the progress is what hindered me. So like now that I'm doing this and like sort of writing a little bit more and um just like keeping track of my progress has helped, and I think that's probably what's affected me before of not realizing that I've actually did improve or not because I never saw tangible results
Mhm.
like in my hands or seeing it, whatever.
And also to emotionally monitor too, because if you know it's like, all right, I'm getting up every day and I'm not like, ugh, this is another day I just have to get through. It's like, all right, I'm up. What do I have for today? Like that's
Yeah.
also too of seeing like, all right, I'm not waking up miserable. I'm actually okay waking up today. Things like that. I think a lot of people tend to forget
Mm-hmm.
because so wrapped up in like that 9 to 5. You get up, go to work, come home, get through the day, and just robotic movements instead of just like, all right, I'm actually excited. I am enjoying the music that I'm listening to on the drive to work that I know I'm going to start the morning off, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. I
Little
think
things like
that's
that.
yeah, I think that's why I continue to listen to music all the time because I know it just brings me to uh just a better place without like having to smoke or drink or anything like that.
So the best thing about music, I'm going to get into like the clinical stuff.
Yeah.
It puts into that part of your brain that you get forgotten memories and things like that because not memory, music and smell connect to memories in a whole different way that you don't even realize. There was a research done with elderly with Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
They actually went into
I think I've seen some of those videos.
probably because there was one
Yeah.
that circulated like a few years ago. It was this guy. He brought in mini iPods for the elderly, and this one woman, she never talked. She just sat at the window staring out every day. Never talked to anyone. Like had her meals, but really, pretty much, for lack of better terms, was like a vegetable. And this guy who donated the iPods, he put the music in for like her era, and then like from having like no affect, just like straight face, to like you saw like her face light right up, and she actually started dancing after like a few days because the memory, they found out later that she was a musician or a performative art person. I can't remember if she was a dancer or she was a musician,
Yeah.
but the music that he played, because it was in her era, like reminded her of like who she was. So she actually started to become a lot more mobile, and she wasn't just sitting at the window.
Yeah.
Like music's a huge connection to our mind and our emotional well-being.
Yeah. It's like it's something we learned in theater school too, like um how to um portray like real emotions on stage is the way. So I learned the technique, the method technique, and basically that is like reaching into your subconscious and um reliving. Well, I'm probably not explaining it right, but basically like you're reliving old memories to bring out
Mhm.
those emotions to translate onto stage. And yeah, like for a lot of the exercises, just listening to old songs like in your head reminded you of some point in your life, and or watching something or reliving a memory when you're relaxed and you can get those emotions again. So yeah, listening to old music, like I have a playlist on Spotify, and I think it's called like what's it called? It says I love my 90s R&B and I love my 2000 like 2000s R&B, and listening to like especially the 90s R&B, like how you grew up when you were a kid and you're like, "Oh shit," you know. Yeah, music is such a big part of my life, and yeah, I love it.
And like you can incorporate that to like everything, which is the best thing because music doesn't judge. Like it speaks to you because some people will listen to rap. Like I remember when Eminem like blew up is because like so many kids were like, that was my life. That's how I feel. That's my
Hmm.
family.
Yeah.
It just connects and it makes you feel less alone.
As long as they're all relatable. I think that's why like whenever you get older and then you start listening to like the younger generation's music, you're like, oh, this isn't music. And I
Yeah.
mean, at least in my opinion, like I said it before, and the best way I described it to my brother Andrew is basically all the popular songs now are the same thing. It's like fuck bitches, get money, but they just add a bunch of words in between. And it's just like the so that's why like there are some rappers and some musicians who still talk like who made music that came from an emotional point versus just trying to get like a cash grab. And there's still
Yeah.
some of those good artists out there, and I appreciate them for making what I think is like actual, like emotional art,
Mhm.
instead of just music.
It's not about the fame and glory. It's about the real life nitty
Yeah,
gritty.
noise. I mean, I can't say I didn't like it when I in like 2012 I went to EDC and it was just straight up beats and lights. So it
Hmm.
was a fun time, but like when if you want to get down to like the emotional side of music, it's a lot nicer. Like I started listening to classical music now.
Yeah.
And before, like, I think if you didn't understand it, it's just like a bunch of instruments playing together. But then when you realize like every person playing that instrument, there's an emotion behind it, and you're like, oh, yeah. I think when you get more, like everyone's coining this term, emotional intelligence, it's like, it it's nice to have. And
Yeah.
music helps.
I know, like, Charmy, like, we'll still do this, like, when we can. Like, we'll just pack up in the car, drive, like, on the highway to, like, nowhere, and just put on music. And, like, sometimes we'll talk, sometimes we don't talk, or just listen.
Yeah.
It's a great self-care coping skill.
Yeah, I used to just love driving in LA because like if you're driving, you know, on LA highways along the beach and you just coasting, listening to music. So I'd call my friends up like, "Hey, let's go on an adventure." Basically, just me driving around, listening to music, stopping at places, eating, and it was always the best times. Yeah,
Because you get that alone time without being alone, because you don't feel alone.
yeah,
That's a lot of alone.
yeah. It's like yeah, being alone is or feeling alone is not fun, but I'm working on it and talking to you and reaching out to my other friends. It's helping me realize that I'm not alone, but I'm trying to not feel it. Like let's say probably even like after this call when we end, it's just like I'm a have moments of just sitting there like, oh my god, and I'll just like lay on the floor and just think of nothing for like an hour or something. I yeah
But that's actually okay, and I actually appreciate that you said that. Because kids with autism, one of my friends has an autistic daughter, and for her, laying on the ground it's actually something for her because it literally grounds her.
yeah
If that's what makes you feel better, then do it. It's not weird. It's whatever makes you feel whole again. Like,
yeah
and if nothing makes you feel good, then do it. But if it doesn't, then it's kind of like, okay, how do you decrease the time that you're laying on the floor thinking about nothing to make it productive?
yeah. It's like I don't know if it's at this point beneficial or hurting, but I just know like I do it not often. Well, often I guess. Um, but like it reminds me of so at the beginning of each class in theater school, we did this like hour long relaxation exercise. It's basically like to clear your mind, relax all the tension you have in your body. So like whenever you perform, all your emotions aren't hindered by outside um, things like stress of you were late to school or you have no gas, or whatever. So whenever you perform, you're just there in the moment. So I think yeah, laying on the ground sometimes can help me just remember where I'm at, like how I'm feeling, and that I try to tell myself it'll be okay.
So there's actually a couple things you can probably find on YouTube. It's called mindfulness practice. And there are probably some mantras that you can find, like whatever you like the best. It it helps you do exactly like what the theater taught you. It's like be in the present, being able to like kind of feel everything. And it's more on the holistic end. So
Yeah,
try it out and see if you like it. Like when you're laying on the ground, like play one of like the mindfulness mantras and see how it makes you feel. Because, you know, sometimes like when you're feeling like so chaotic or like even after we're done with this, if you feel like you're a little bit tense,
Mhm.
you kind of have to figure out, one, why do you feel so tense?
Yeah.
Because that's your body kind of giving you a hint of like something's going on.
Yeah.
Whether it's like something I suppose that you just had in the chair for too long, or maybe the topics that we talked about were really heavy on you and you're just like feeling it on your shoulders or something. So that can help you kind of decompress like
Yeah.
whatever your body's feeling.
I mean, I haven't done it like this past week, but I've always enjoyed yoga. When I was in my first year at LA, I think I did yoga at least once a week for a couple months. And I mean, I will say the teacher was fucking hot as hell, but it did help. Like, it's funny because my friends always says like, we know why you went to that yoga class. It's like, that's not the main reason, all right? But yoga, yoga did help a lot
Yeah.
with like keeping me in the present mind state. There's also breathing technique, and also the mobility is really nice. Just being able to move around and not feel so tight all day. And I think the tension really like is what drives most of um my tension. Just tension is ruining a lot of things.
Yeah. A lot of good skills. You just gotta kind of continue to practice and be consistent with it too.
Yeah. Yeah, consistency is what is I think one of my biggest issues with
Mhm.
anything. Yeah. So that's why, like I said, like writing things down. Um, like I have a board back there. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a board back there, and I recently started like trying to help myself get back in shape. I started doing 100 push-ups for 100 days, and like literally marking it down and keeping myself on check to like don't miss a day has already helped me like improve. And I think uh like you were saying before, like waking up and having a plan for the day has been good. Because if I wake up and I just like wake up, it's like, oh, okay, like, now what? And I just
Yeah.
wake up and I eat, and then I just kind of figure out like, what should I do? And yeah,
So go back to like when you were in the military, because you know how you had to. Well, I don't know if you had to, um, but like you had a certain time you had to wake up. You
yeah, the
had to.
discipline was like
Yeah.
on
Translate.
point. Yeah,
Yeah, translate that to now, like however you can apply it, because that's also gonna help you too. Like, all right, instead of just like sleeping in until like 2 in the afternoon, let me always get up at, start at 10 o'clock if you struggle getting up early in the morning. Like just start at
yeah,
10. And once you get like a month of being able to be up at 10 o'clock, then push it back, push it to 9,
yeah,
you know, into like whatever is your goal. And then start off that way. Just set one small goal. Don't overload yourself, because then when you have 10 goals for the day and you only hit one, that's more discouraging than saying, hey, at least I got that one goal instead of none.
yeah. I did do that before. I was waking up at 9 almost consistently this whole year, and then just like one night I stayed up a little late, and then it
Mm-hmm.
kind of just like I fell back into the of like not caring how to wake up again, and
Mm-hmm.
that discourages me a lot most of the time. Um, because like I feel like I did so much work, but then I just do like one thing wrong, and I'm like, okay, fuck it. Like, what's the like? I throw all my progress away, and it just takes me a while to like, I guess like jump back on that train sometimes.
So one of the things you know, used to tell my patients back in the day was like, in recovery, relapse is a part of recovery, but it's not a not necessarily, something that has to happen. But if a relapse happens, you can't kick yourself in the ass and dwell on it, because once you start dwelling on it a lot more, that's all you're gonna focus on. You're not gonna
Yeah,
remember, this is all the hard work that I put into it, and I can get back to it because I was there for that one year.
yeah,
Same thing with you, like just because you had one slip up. doesn't mean it's the end of the world. You're human. God forbid
Yeah,
you screw up here, there.
I gotta get that. Like I think it's like I don't know how to. Um, I guess sometimes I don't know how to get back up from mistakes. Like I know I can. It just takes me. I guess in my opinion, too long to get back. So like I know I can get back. It's like, but what's the point? Because it's gonna take me another 2 weeks or something like that. It's like it's a waste of my time. So I am trying to get better at like, okay, it's just a little mistake. Let's just recorrect it before I deviate too much or something like that.
But then again, like, I'm gonna be more on the positive end. So who cares if it takes you 2 weeks to get back? At least you got back, right?
Yeah.
It's better to get back than to never get there again.
Yeah.
I think that's another reminder of like being a little more positive, being a little more forgiving, but not too forgiving where you're like, yeah, it's okay, whatever. It's like, okay, I forgive myself for sleeping in. And remember, it's just sleeping in.
Mm-hmm.
Big thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know that's the example we're using, but like if you can apply it to anything else, like you have to remember it's not the end of the world. You can get back, and it's okay if you take 2 weeks. You're working on it, and that just reminds you of like that's life. Like you're gonna screw up on everything, just like I screw up on everything. You
Yeah.
know, like take Madison for example. She's fallen on her ass so many times learning how to walk, and she's fallen, and she's walking now, and she's running like a pro.
Yeah.
She's learning to walk down the stairs on her own, and she'll um underestimate a step, and she'll fall on her bum, and then
Yeah.
she'll cry, and I'm like, no, mommy's not gonna pick you up.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna hold your hand, and we're gonna finish walking down the stairs because now you'll learn. Don't misjudge a step, or like focus when you're looking.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just like little things like that.
Okay. Well, Sarah, I really appreciate this talk that we had. I'm glad we had this opportunity. I'm pretty sure we'll have more. Um, is there any last things you'd like to say, or like if anyone, I don't know if you'd want people to contact you, but is there just anything you'd like to say? Final words, or
Well, if anyone needs resources, whether it's mental health, substance abuse, or just yeah, that's okay. Like you can go through Henry, and then you let me know if that's not going to be too overwhelming for you. Because like I would rather be able to guide someone if I can't give them the answers to at least like kind of help them understand what they need or like where to start off. Because you're not alone, and I don't ever want anyone to feel alone. Because
yeah,
it's out there, it's a lot harder than it actually is. But you just got to be patient and know when and where to ask. So I can guide or give resources to anybody who needs it.
okay. Well, thanks again, and
Yeah.
I'll talk to you later.
Okay. Oh wait, before we actually end, because I want
Oh,
you to see the baby.
oh, oh,
And Sean,
is she sleeping now?
I don't know. I'm gonna sleep because Sean was feeding her lunch. So I'm like, I want to see the little peanut.
Well, I'll probably
I'm
stop the
calling.
recording. We'll do this personal time.